ahwefo agidifo ne anuanom ya mamadwo eba landing Ghana music awa dwumadie iso ye fe ye nije ya hohoa na watwe bia de mutimi ne ye ni so ne bebre enne ye ne hwan na eba bedi dwuman moma ye mompaye yensro dimafo ye da wasibiom senenso de acheyen ne eba besua wo ho ade kan ye ho ne boye ho ban miensua de bebre mfrim yemfa mobra boni wiase ewie de na asenye ya maudin ye da wase frisa wo sase da wo wadomonti amen. Yo landing Ghana church choir music hour dwumadie na edru so mesra mo sem be frefre munuamo munamfofo ene dwumadie ne de nke behia mo ma ene mo nana mo nyina se mo no mbetena se abom ne nyina ya che dwumadie ne ewie a ebeye mfasode kese ama ewiase nyina ye ne hwan na eba bedi dwuma ansa na ye bekwa akotie enwom ye ba ye beyi wo machre medamase. Yamon Ose ye a landing Ghana children's choir and a tone way and my yen. We know my who said ne, the Ababeka who was some bayam cry. Inti Mr. Mo among famona na mone momena memo, now for no montrim mo fidie ye. Never boa, who was in Bisebia now the aba, and more now the aba. And ne, ye know why never be to main. Yene Elder and Mrs. Abikwe, and never be juma. Sam Ray, Metchia woman, Yamom, quine no more yum who eddy actually. Elder and Mrs. Me Mama Baba Landing Ghana music hour, Jumedia so.
Thank you.
Moho to sing.
Pacha Yahui.
Yes, I don't know, Pablo. Hey.
Yo, ya cast Mr. and Mrs. Abikwe. Mubes me a kabi kakra afamo amashe funi na hunipa moye.
Okay, I'll start first. Yeah. I'm Gina Abikwe. I'm a member of the London Ghana Church, the fantastic London Ghana Church. And it's a pleasure to be here this evening. Thank you.
And so, your friend Katie Abikwe, go see Katie at the Quartet Abikwe. And so, Mr. London Ghana. Mako Valley View University near friend AMC Numikobi. Mako Nigeria Aswa. Masako New Board as of school near Mako Andus Naminko Hoya, but Mako New Board. Now we are London Ghana, and so Asoriba.
Yo, and they ever Kabibiafa and Yum to any mofra and puntu. A dentina, but I will wait and Namopesa money a check.
Okay, thank you, Sister Monica. That's a great question. Thank you. I think the reason we've chosen today to talk about music and children and musical instruments and children is because one of the great passions that I have is children's development. I'm all about children. I've been a head teacher for decades. So education is very important to me and how our children develop. So that's why we've chosen that topic, this topic for tonight. I know there are some people out there who are hoping to hear me sing. Well, let's watch this program through. Who knows? I may not, but let's watch and see.
Okay, Elder.
Yes, so Sena Moka for no more fan this year no punto econo. So I'm so we are sorry paying our old dream home. Yeah, 25th anniversary. Question maybe someone said, and more fan of Nama saw one day 20 years time, 30 years time, and fan or more. Into some dream, then maybe to have a bomb or fan on that, or mat's nassor, no why are sorry bampa. The answer you know what, or matria, it might depend on your conference and bands.
Yo, Yancy knew why, or my babet swa a juma, yeah, so. Ain't he a who bay panny here, Auntie Gina? Say a mofra, ye didn't to a better woman. It didn't say ye didn't to a mofra.
Okay, thank you. That's a great question. I'm going to share my screen and share a small PowerPoint with us. And what I'm saying is, as we go through this session, please feel free to write any questions or comments that you have in the chat or wherever you're watching it on, and I'm happy to answer those questions going along. So permit me to share my screen.
Okay.
And let me know if, okay, let's have a look. Okay, can you see my screen? Yeah, wonderful. Okay, so we're going to talk about musical instruments and child development. When we are blessed to have children, whether it's our own biological children or our grandchildren or our nieces or our nephews or the children of our church, what we want to do is to actually develop them. We want them to develop and do well academically, socially, and spiritually. And at the end of the day, the journey that we're taking them is to get to heaven. So how can we develop children's development optimally as we go about? And that's what I want to share with us today. So bear with me. Okay, so here's a question that we have. And the question is, is it true or false? Learning to play a musical instrument from a very young age helps a child's academic progress. Is it true or is it false? Now that's a very big statement to make, yeah? And if you want to know if it's true or false, we need to have research. And I want to tell us that a lot of research has been done over the years. And you'll find that over the decades, neuroscientists, they are people who are qualified to do research on how our brains work. So neuroscientists have made enormous breakthroughs in understanding how our brain works. So we want to know, how do children's brains work? And to do this, they monitor how the brain works by putting people through a scanner, and they hook them up through a special machine, and then they make them do things, and the machine tells us how our brain is lighting up and working. So what they started off by doing was they started off by actually monitoring people when they were listening to music. So when they listen to music, you find that, oh, their brains would really light up, both the right and the left-hand side of the brain. And then they thought, okay, that's great. Let's now monitor how, if we're learning to play a musical instrument. So we've listened to music, now we're going to play a musical instrument. And they found that when children were playing musical instruments, many parts of their brains would lighten up, would be active. So we found that listening makes the brain active, but actually playing the musical instrument makes it even more active. Yeah. And then they said, okay, that's great. That's fantastic. Whilst the doctors tell us that in order for our bodies to actually be active, to do really well, it needs to be active. We exercise. Similarly, we need to exercise our brains as well. And one of the ways that children can exercise their brains is by learning to play a musical instrument from a very young age. And then we talk about the right side and the left side of the brain. You know, the left side of the brain is the part that looks about linguistics, that talks and mathematics and science. And the right side focuses on creativity. So when a child is learning to play a musical instrument from a very young age, you find that they're using both sides of the brain. And the wonderful thing is that as they learn to play the musical instrument, that's not the only thing they're learning. We found that researchers told us that their mathematics skills raises up high. You'll find that their spatial awareness, how they deal with problems, becomes fantastic as well, all because they are learning to play a musical instrument when they're young. Their social skills improve phenomenally. Also, their whole overall development is, boosted as well. And their self-esteem, because at the end of the day, we're human beings. When you're able to do something successfully, your self-esteem really boosts up as well. And what's the most important part is their academic. So their maths and their science and their geography and their history, that boosts as well. And they get a higher IQ. So their learning really develops, but not just in the musical instrument, but in all areas of the curriculum. So this research is done, there's a lot of research done about it, and I'm just giving you a small bit of it. And I want to tell you that it's imperative, it's important, that we try and encourage our children from a very young age to learn a musical instrument. So long as a child can identify A, B, and C, they can see and know that this is A, this is B, this is C. So they can begin to read from the age of 3 or 4 and onward, they can play any musical instrument. And we can encourage them. As we go through this program, we'll discover more about how we can encourage them. But I want to tell you that, it is true. Yes, we said true or false is absolutely true that yes, playing a musical instrument, learning to play it from a very young age really boosts our children's academic development, their social development, and many, many more. And it's immeasurable. You can't measure the benefits of learning to play a musical instrument.
Wow, maka o mesi obia entna se mon frefre mun nuamadofo na ye nyina ye dwumedie na ebenya bibia frem eda kete eda na ade beka ho amame.
Yeah, so kakra mpesam de ka ho no sana yesua wo classroom ebo mo ye mathematics o mo ye English o mo ye science no ye pese sa den so ye de ba asori. So mo sua sense bo senku ne asi bo guitar ne bo trotubento na a bomb so nyamsum umtimi sua Bible mo nsem e ka won team etime bom no mo pa ebo bibi ha wo ma etime bresa o how nasi enti enim say ohene David Bible nenim say ochro Psalms and Job over 150 Psalms. And so David answer na ochro Psalms no ye tin in ka Bible no bosenku ohene so say mo pe obi obetimi abosenku mam na ya nyama hame na obosenku na aboa me It is David Omkofre na branch akiti obosen kupa say you're skillful. Skillful says obi a wa practice, obi a wesua, oboni ye pa na obo a na so ho fini na edwane efin ho. Ye call Jericho so a ebra Israel for no twa Jericho afesu nhyae no. Wo mo ball to bent no, wo mo ball no prenson o na Jericho afesu nia dwere fam na amom nkunidie. Ye konso ye si Yesu so ba 1 Thessalonians 4:16. To bent was the Nyankopon to bent ndi di enim. Ye call Revelation so asa abofon son kuta to bent on some bo jom. Intimo Frenchian musical instruments no ho hia pa ebomo honhomo impontu.
Yo, Auntie Gina, are there any specific musical instruments you believe say ebeboa ebofre na?
Well, to be frank, when it comes, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see everybody. Beautiful, right? Now, to be frank, I would say that no, there is no specific. But you see, when a child is beginning to learn, they want something that they can hold and manage. So my recommendation would be perhaps start with a recorder. Something as simple as a recorder. You can buy them for £5, £6, and you can buy them even in your local supermarket. And so long as they can learn the A, B, C, D, the letters of the alphabet, the musical notes on it, they can start. That will move them on, and it will move them on to other instruments. They start with the basics, and the recorder is cheap. So it's something that you can invest in as a parent, knowing that in the future, as they get into other instruments, we can look into that as well. So I would recommend a recorder to start with.
Yo, Ashafo will be a bit made in the comment about our Facebook, YouTube, any Zoom. So the opposite you can't want to be a ye call near Quaquitinium, ye bad, ye better so. Damasi. Ushakra fedodo. So masha siya mo fra brim no mudisia. Auntie Gina, met me bisa say empi me breben at what age? Na bit me aka say my bros minti me ensuanyum and I say a foot over at the Mayo.
Oh, Sister Monica, there's no age. It's never, ever, ever too late to start learning an instrument. Never. There are benefits to actually starting from a young age, but you can never stop. I mean, for instance, when my Jordan started to play the saxophone, he was very young, he was only 4. And, you know, to encourage him, even I started to play as well, so we could play together. And I was mature. And in fact, there were things that we're told about, is it dementia? But Katie will talk about that in a moment. But yes, you're never too old to play a musical instrument. So that's no excuse at all. We can all do it in our old age and play musical instruments.
Yo, Katie, yeah, sorry, sorry, Kessie pa. And you're almost frabby brave or a pine bed now, as long bet me a bois. Ama and num to and she aquaso. Am I am afraid?
Yes, Sister Monica, that's very brave. James will be sat as somewhere who near pa. Now, because a bright year 25th anniversary. I'm questioning this, and we're from what to hear, yet no more open Kennedy, no more bojomi. A bay saying, na dakro, woma castle. Into the call board, not pay for some friend, the organo board idea, one more ha a drink. May and until the call board, not body jitum, some friend, I enjoy woman to no monsieur senkubo, woman to bend to bo. We must different instruments. Now, one by born chain, 25th anniversary, we are a mount platform, no more born on me to. In that, ye home faso. But I saw no as I say, yes, so ye pet and break a cram or more, ye pet space, more, sorry, I'll meet my bawa bishan. Yam sem jum. Now, for that song, say about more than ye pet, ebia. Woman bossing company for a bossing no ye pet stipends, Sikaka crabby bomb the tuomo transport car, no petrol car, no much about sorry bia, Christia debia and a fia debia, no my betchambu frano, no more bomb so muntia. A bomb so a bombo frano, let's say more my daddy semble from 25th anniversary video. Ya mom my brain, one more single no match, no more botch that son, near one same mom, near shame cranny, a big crab poor, so for between about normal certificate in the boss in Kuwabo modern Oko winning. No boss and son pet and bray, a pessy kakra, near padaji kakana mo from the body and tia, a beboy and pa, now a mamofano satan son no money, a ben painful power son.
Yo, Medasi Bebre, Auntie Gina, succession planning. How can the church help?
Okay, right. Right, then another important aspect of learning our children to learn to play musical instruments is not just for their progress, but also for the church. Let's think about our church. The future of our church is our children today. So we need to invest in our children, because you and I, Sister Monica, at some few years, and we're going to pass on, the church will be empty unless we focus and efforts and energy into our children. These children will be our future elders. They will be our future deacons and deaconesses. They will be our future music leaders in our church. So if they can learn to play musical instruments and also have an interest within the church, it'll be fantastic. No, psychologists tell us that children's brains at a young age are like sponges. They're ready to take in lots and lots and lots. They can learn many languages. They can learn, musical instruments. They can learn so much. So that's the time for our church to invest in our young people so that we have a church for the future.
Oh, okay. Elsa. And then you come.
One say a brand out me dano. Embribo ha ye kwaso ebia no boss in Kumaye no succession planning no. Ebia we 2 coins ebia obia ko Ghana. Ebia no hon fa no no amba okwa sorry asenkubo ni ho. Your mbofra bebre because live a mbofra small boy 4 years on obo senkunu mom. Now I'm saying London Ghana your mbofra over 200 mbofra. You so senkubo fom. You so be better about to bento inti and say a pel no mutimi sua. Awofo no boa awofo no part wo play a super. Wom dey some do mo practice. Wom no say encourage move you me practice fee. Kakaya show no normal practice, no the about sorry, normal be practice. I saw one part to be play. I will for one more dear school no so one more dear. Yeah, yes, sir. I saw no. Since I call London Ghana, young people in the boss in Kumai. Any for so any friends of session planning. Say me paying me ni hoa. Nan beba bomba or beba maye. And any plan a and number of so by near training more mufra. Tia percent mufra p a class on mufra by 50 will be 18 boss in Ku. Obi atumi bɔ trobento, obi atumi bɔ violin, other instruments are beautiful. Efe. Ema so no yede, ama mpuntu so bam. Nyame honhom no sane.
Yo nyame honhom sane. Se meti hey, e bia na mani gye ho se me akra mesua. E kwan ba so na mefa menya saa mfidie na me de asua. Ye ton ne hin, metumi atɔ, ana se me kostre.
Hey, okay, that's a great question to move us on. Indeed. Now, we shouldn't be worried about having to buy an instrument, yeah? Because in this country, in our education system, schools encourage children to take on musical instruments. Your local borough encourages you to do so. So if a parent thinks, oh, this is great, it's going to help my child's emotional, psychological, academic progress, then it's important that I have my child learn a musical instrument, then I'm going to do that. All you need to do is contact the education department in your borough. If you live in the borough of, Newham, if you live in the borough of Thurrock, or wherever you live, whichever borough, just go to the civic center, ring in and say, your education department, I would like my child to learn a musical instrument. They will support you. They will offer the instrument to you for hire. You don't have to purchase it now. Hire it. They will also insure it, and the child keeps the instrument at home, takes it to school, takes it to church, keeps it 24/7. And practices it, and they will even help you with musical lessons. And the reason we say it's good to start by hiring is because children are quite fickle. Today they think, oh, I want to play a guitar, mum. So you go and buy a whole new guitar. 3 months later, they say, no, I want to try the drums. So it's a good idea to hire until you're certain. So if I may share the example of our son, Jordan, when he was in a school that also believes that learning to play a musical instrument will support him and the school as well. So he looked at the chart and he said, you know what, I want that instrument, mum. And the instrument that he chose was a saxophone. Now, to be frank, he was 4 years old and the saxophone was bigger than him. But he says, no, mum, that's the one I want. So we organized to hire a saxophone for him. And, he tried to play it. And the thing that I say to the parents is that don't think it's going to be easy, because until that child learns to play the instrument well, your ears are going to suffer. As a parent, you're going to be hearing squeaky, 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 unrhythmic, terrible music every day, all day, until they get it right. So as a parent, you have to bear that in mind. And you have to keep encouraging your child. When they play something, you think, oh gosh, that was terrible. You don't say it's terrible. You say, it's wonderful, it's great, and that's the one you do. It's important to do that. And then when the child has really settled into the instrument that they've chosen, then you may decide to purchase one. But you shouldn't think that the cost of it is what's going to put you, back. You need to think about, proactive. You can go through your school and you can go through your borough and you will get the musical instrument that way.
Oh, yo, Elder.
Be yanke pese mutie yemba Jordan ye koshase no saxophone na neso sen no obedidi na onya dokrubi ngun ye mo boy nye hie mo pa mo hwe wa yan kakra practice mo me take it to e bi na hwe be a otumi de do ne ho sen.
That was the video where he played with the choir.
Okay.
That's German.
yɛde ma wa nesel ne fatao asidanka udin Jordan ene Landing Ghana Church Choir ene to nwum hwehwehwam atiseye elder na mema wakonya senka fa bi ka ho nansa na de be ka ho no antigi na ekasa no wosi ba bi ebenyinya instruments ni be free cancel ye borrow ye titimu obi wo ha still na no be pesa sorry no be di nanim Nenka wenye bie asɔre no won hyehyɛ saa wɔ hɔ ana ebi ni hɔ ekwan bɛ no bɛfa so mo de san hyehyɛ wo yewe ɛbɛtɔ ekwan so.
Okay, that's really brave, Monica. I'm saying a very good question will be sir. Sasoni sisiana asono ya mankrofo enka Christia Damo Frambition Senkubo yedi en senku nyama wasomo ye nke betumi atomo instruments your drums MC what trumpets be ye too the asono betumi a goose be concert say be more instruments now wo mo muntimi nko baro no metumi aba asono so be bornom desua ni na ehira sorry no a boy send ya cancer session planning a boy in Bofra no wo transfer no take part na sorry no and boy in Bofra no o hwehwe ma oni bibi o mo sua o mo ye practice woman na mabontin chinchin adoso feel practice and what pass or then obe practice the more I mom nyam you are so much transfer be boy into a very good suggestion said board no ndwen ho ne to more instruments you be ho by say me to more near the bomb into betima kobara school no betima bomb on bara no betima bomb asori so ade esi ebetimi aye
yo na che se metiasie yi a ye mofrey obia wona dwene omususade obi wase me football me pewe esu ne nyina ekene se yetimi boa na yede nwom to nso ka ho any instruments no how betimi aboa na ama o madwene mu akọ animu e wo madisuam ene wo na mesum mu nso so yo ye nche ho ye beko Facebook YouTube na Zoom so ni akọ akotie nkrato ye ba ye beto so medamase
my aqua baby ever an edumadia so we did say addition kunina coswinity yin na ya tell ya so de ye tie asem no ekoko ye dompem nyina ye ma menum ne papanom ne enwanum nyina ye nyina ye tie fi say adwom to de ye ko heaven na ye bekọ so atodwom nti yesua pa mi se manage ho we ya me pa church bo na ne de me request abeto wo se me be se me sua organ nti se mo beto bi ama me a ene na mo so ma ye intentem sa ama me na se ne ye Canada adofo pi na hwedwumadie omunyina de omunkra ma ne ye ne se de ja ye no ene ye sha ase afi YouTube na ne de di kan no afi Fiona Janelle ho o se ye kan che ma me gina se otodwom nti ene ontodwom ansa na wakọ han Linda Brobe enso se apia kubia busua ni nyina nwumre omunyina eti ekwan befa so na omu develop awonum tuom Fiona bio se aye no kre yitimi enyini develop awonum tuom Eric owusu se uncle okay se wotodwom enti wo so auntie atuwie na so do de no asoso ana se wasa asem no aye no kre pa Fiona se ane uncle okay se wotu base ne de anwumre aten aso otie mi gidi se Fiona se yenka nyina wo se SEC so music conservatoire honma e benya instruments ni binti me sure say me ba church board na ma me de na me ko conference akwache me de na no osofo panyi Emmanuel say amen sana kwadwo Ashley so say nen nsem na mo de mine e ma ye nhunu fufo pa ebo anyum tuom ene ye mofra no enyini mu osofo panyi Emmanuel say eye no kre asama Elder Katie wo ka no eye no kre papa sana e papa kwab na kwe okire say Elder Katie ono no call class ntem you made it ohu dwumadie so de nani age ne ho papa na dwumadie ne so edamusron ko Linda Brobe say elekem sen na ene selali enyume omo hwa mo wofa ene omo se wa say mu di dwumadie kama Ohima Jenkins say ene so dwumadie na ya kwanya pass enya elder ene ne ye say enyume omo ne ye echi omo su ehunu amowo abo mofra disuom ene om titiem na omo se mo say mo ma ne nya ene nko a eya momra na mo meye ne da emaye awo adwo asese ye musa say se me ye ka anyum hu mfidie yen ka ekrom de no ka ho ana de bo palogo ni nyina ka ho ana se eye mafo de nko a na ye kan fama Fahima mayasi se amen ensem no eye kama papa osof manyi Emmanuel say ene se ne yida so ho ma no emfa ho ne de ya obetimi aba besie me ne nyina ne be ko class no na osof plan na betiem ni nyina yesia sa na ye ma me Joanna abekwe o se Elder Katie okai o say udi mfiensia na wo kwa ma wo todwumenti na enyume de mnya sho say obetimi asori akwa onfa nyom no enka ho sa na ya yeso Elder Kwame Omare say Elder Katie ni magina o say enyume ye mo ne ye che no ye pass ye hwese ne ye bi ma ye mofa na dwum abie ene se de ye mo call manim e wo dwum tuom James Entry o say no kan Advent Herald no so na enyume o ka chem say o hwe mo pa ba bi obi anti mo nkoso enye nyame adwuma no Fiona say ai ni da so ho na ono ankasa the ochre na nyom no de wanyi no mpa wo mfie be aduowatwe de se nyina yebekọ akosua bi an no akosia abafo wo asese anwumrei ade a yebobo hu no eye nika sempa na ode asese mo ne eche musua hu kojo actually sese omu sese ye ne ye market wa no ye no moto dwuma eya eboa pa no be se ohu se so eye say ye market wa ne wo na ebe introduce omu to anyum at that time na I say se sha se sa ibetimi ato aso ama masua anyum 20 osrewa can be kakra efa ye market wa na ye babies no se ne no so eboa wo mu no anti akosi abafo wo asese anyu media antigen na ne je wo ho pa se de wo pe ahokeka kire mofra ho asem no na ne je ho papa awaju asese eye na banafo abekwe na ne ono so ha ye ono so hwe bi pa sa na ye ma me akosi abafo wo ase ya na ebe ye de na so eye fese ye ka se se oba no bo na nya ya na e de pa so because de kwe de de pass wa bra onu se enkoyi na so ni nyina de be show mu kwan se de o ba yire obo na o ma bo akopin se o be ye perfect sa na ye ma me Joanna bi se enne de nani agye na Jordan ho pa na nani agye se o bo nyum semkwi ade ayi ne bofo aye ye ma me ahema Jenkins se nani agye pa se o hwe Jordan se o tudum o bo semkwi eyi ne jefo aye na se ahofama na ode ahye mu enkokpada nyam enkanya medim Beryl Sandy asese ne de ahwen ese wosoro pa na otwen ba bi a etiase na mujati ase na mbaba na abefa nyina ama yakọ soro anto cha asese o ka chi nya se nwumi music ano te se aye fanta bruta te se abro so agije ne nsem ye sure se ba bi otino ntimi ntena fa akokra Beryl Sandy asese edru heaven na ene ye beka asemba akọ ebeto nwum ba akọ nti ne nani agye de ye no sana Kennedy Kundan free Ghana bam gidi se enche ba kwaji egonya de o hobonya mai so on say amen and ejumedie no akoni de mpa sa asem kwe ya na Margaret Sewan so kan say amen se ejumedie ne de A1 na ye beto aso ne akan kakran so a ewo Facebook say oni ba be enum nsia bi omu nyina ehwe na ne de ne asem di kan ba ye ma be Betty Daniel Jomo I say hey ene antigena wa 10 aso papa o say o tie so be catch you know ye sure say bia o twi we ba ku bia odi betwi mama no sana na kunsu so de ensembo papa na ye mapa ye maame Gloria aboajewa aboadi onso so nwumire otwea benefit a o hwe ne say ya sana ye nwa ba Joshibet Joshi Express onso so o bem na ma onso so ene o hwe dwumedie no na de twa so ani mu akuma ne fi ye maame ya ho o say elder nani aje ho pa ne panyi kwadwan ponsa aboate ti se munyina o mani aje ho pa ne o ye dwumedie ne muni edi na kwaku say happy days music anyom ne de eye da ite say ye tia na ama ye ni age na ama ye ahosepɛ so aka ho na de di wie kwa no efri zoom so de di kan efri ye papa Samuel Labi ECK for say great singer enya dwumadie no aso anipa na ni age na odam asese mo ne ye ache bibi ati say ye ma meje na so mo bibi akwa ba sa na programs manager Bobby on say na ni age pass na wo hu educate ene na yire se muni ye chi Nyankopon hu suahun kese e fa anyum ho ene se ne betete ma sa na ya elder Bright Sam se nwumre dem ho ayefa papa na nani age se muni ye chi suahun awa nwum to menkanka ene ye ma no omu ade ages se de be ya ibenya mfaso afi wona disuam na ne so aboa asafo no sa na papa Samuel Labi se Jordan ene kwa anyum no nani age ho pa na obo ne nsem kese e na ama no sana elder Bright Sam say obeto so asafo no ana conference no ewo mo bi omode bo asafo no ewo mabnu anyum to suamu ana gidi se bibi sa ho mbe ya no amaye na de twa to efi Anthony Essien ho o say anyum no tie ye no ene no nani nyina esisi ani say pem kama ese nani age we any adofo enkrance ma omde aba na ama William say dwumadie no de ne kama pa na won so ane wabaso no oh wetu chama na de twa to no de odo kakra pa na papa mana eso ede mane mu dwumadie so ndi adofo no de obia ani agidwumadie na mo ne e chane fisi adusua no ya adusua kunipa nti be die mama na makoso a cheche nti de be ya ebetimi a develop your music brain ya da mu na mase
yo wahene basapon ya da se won krato a odi aba wa ya ma na ye fe yo elder and Mrs. me pa cho request bebre ne free YouTube ni Zoom so ebaye efa monyom to mo betimi atonyom mo are ready mo nya ready a edafofro da mato e na obi nsi bi say wo enkran kitenkete no say de nyom to etete wo ma na me pa cho se mo betimi aboa no a ena obi nso bisa say conference no mwabenom de boa other churches no efa mputue ya ekoso inti no.
Okay. Oh, Sister Monica, thank you very much. Now, nyum to dear. So we'll start inviting us, and then we shall do a duet. I promise you.
Amen.
Next invite. I need to, have some serious kinky to prepare my voice. So today I'm not prepared, but I promise you the next invite we shall do a duet.
Next time you better do.
Today is all about the children and music, and so we'll stick to the children today. But yes, one of the questions you asked was, what was it about? I think there was one of the questions on YouTube was about children listening to music. Yes, indeed. Yeah, we've been taught that psychologists are saying that even when a lady is pregnant, it's good to play music to the baby while they're in the womb. It calms them. It does good, positive things. So if you play music to them, it's great. They even say if you read to your baby in the womb, that's also good. It listens to the voice and it hears it. So it prepares them that when they come, they are ready to harmonize and value and enjoy music as well. Yes, thank you.
Conference in betting me aboa. I'm Sister Fiona Kase Barra no one more way or more year. I'm sure it's a conference no so one more music department one more boa. Then now one more mambo fan opportunities. You can meetings one more praise team, one more band or one more ball, all sorts of instruments. In Corano there was sorry. Yet me recommend on my conference. The conference program commitment take part. Normal rehearsals, normal practice conference, normal take part. I'm saying Yemba London Ghana, Fiona, and then his sister. When you're on conference, why don't you jump? Soft that the number from 3Ds. Something called conference. Don't want to think who want to bend to no so no. One meeting that conference and no more exposure. I can't now hold now sister Fiona no so our barrel for ensemble no. One meeting my quack bon so on what more training.
Yo, and in that baby I drew near say. O shasi a wonyum wo to nyom wutie nyom wo de betete mo frey bi a me maye nan enum nsia challenges be na wom ye betumi ne afoforo ahye na se nipa no go through a wo say any da so wo ho.
Okay, thank you for that question. Now there will be challenges. All good things don't come always easy. There will be challenges. First of all, one of the things I'd like to say to a parent is when parents often look at a musical instrument and say, oh, I think that's beautiful. My child should play this instrument. It doesn't always work that way. So we shouldn't always force what we want on the child. What we should do is expose the child to it and let's see what they take on and then encourage it. And also you have many children, again, worried about the cost of it. Go through your borough. And again, I go back to our church. Our church is a family. We want the future of our church to be secure. So as a church, we need to support families. If I've got 3, 4, 5 children, the church will be able to support me in helping my children succeed. We have to have the mindset that the children in London, Ghana belong to you, Sister Monica, belong to me, Gina, belong to all of us. They are all our children. They're the future of our church. So if that is our mindset, it shouldn't be difficult for us to want to support every child within the church.
Yo, Elder, then I'll be back.
I'm just so like sikasem to me a problem. Antina, yeah, shall say, mentor instruments in straight away. Ukoto, now fans sanadrian, I say wabok, and to the borrow. Kobe be a woman try. One more 2 years, na need you one. Opa obeti me atobis than but most shall say no borrow try different instruments. Secondly, as I said, I will for yenya adaje mom. It take it time. Ubo ha for boss and kupa no practice it. Sana David yeka so a skill for no obit man is a hap. No they practice here. Into me support to them. No more born there, born green, and then I say now, but tremor. Now, but what I can say, yeah, non so. I sorry, no, so you was sudi. I saw Momayan support it. I will for the Juma no more because I'm bad sorry. No more bossing who are son to be a boy in and ten Campbell. Because say London Ghana, or pay be whom send Bufani and Barney womb. No more boy instrument. Me the cobalt say, there be bored. More Maquania. normal fanko sua one fine same kunusia one fine instruments nusia and na benya ye ho fa so board nso so mu no aye kama ma na mo free pi bo senku wa soro mo ho
yo eni ye bekwa kotie enwom ye ba ye beto aso nto obi antwen ye ba
Sambra, Yami we Sambro, Betina me mo, Baby Makoma Soni, Nana Befa Minomo, Yami we Sani Misu Sabro Luma, Betina me mo, go Sambra, Yami we Ejanu Jimmy Jawo, Betina me mo. Makuma suadielese bini wubenya yonkufa basiesie makuma wubika wume bekina mimu kamiti shachani nakanyani nakanyani beshamima
Yo, Elder Katie and Mrs. More 1 minute. I'm the bit 2 full. A foot to be able to be my now. What you're saying, any great ampon and a bent, Mr. Yamum running you won't any fay. Move 2 full. We are not in our bumpire shrine.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody who's joined us. And if you have any more questions, do let us know. But what I want to say is for the future of our church, for the development of the children that God has given us, my children, your children, the children in our church, our grandchildren, our nephews, our nieces, for their future, for their benefit, let's work together to ensure that they all learn to value music, learn a musical instrument, and develop to be wonderful citizens in this society and in the heaven to come.
Now, Mr. Cranberry can say, oh yeah, I will for now. One dream will be sound say a best send a member, GD me cream with their mom and bannon homes and the mom nana na to aswa. More ancient instrument. That instrument, but was sorry. Non fan some Yankopon. A bed one upon the Ninimu. Yankopon be our wadiache.
Amen.
You want to get a bumpire, my
Okay. I invite us to bow our heads. Our great and our heavenly Father, as we bowed our heads tonight, we're asking that all that we've talked about and studied and shared today, that it will drop on, good ears, and that we will do all that we can as parents, as guardians, as church members to support our children, the children you have given us, so they may have a bright future, that they may be able to witness to you and say that they come from a great church and they know a great God, and indeed they've done wonderful things. Continue to bless each and every one who is listening today, who has joined us today, and those as well, and bless their children too as they return to school in a new academic year. For we are asking these mercies in your name. Amen.
Amen. Yadamasi pass your 2 years of frame. When you hamonamaba, any ababeche adise etise. Yamin shram no nyamukasiye. Mudaya sunyina mrem ewoni dimunti. Amen.
Amen.
Se oyodo, ma soche ma dieti, akase me ma nusu, ma tiso na bide.